What do we have at the foundation of the reading, please? Temperance. Sag energy at the foundation of the reading. Okay, so the main message that I've been hearing in regards to this particular reading here is that you didn't come all this way to go back to what broke you. And I feel that the Temperance card here is a perfect representation of this energy, because as we can see here, you're on this new path, this path of healing, this path of purpose, and this path of balance. And there's also an indication that you have this newfound sense of connection with Source since you've been on this path. I feel that really based on the astrology at the moment, especially with Saturn going into Aries, there's this sense inside the collective that people are really starting to see all of you for who you really were in their life. Simply put, people are really starting to recognize you as somebody that was cloaked by the divine. All of your greatness was something that was being hidden. But now, as the future is beginning to unfold, there's a major tipping of the scales. People are really starting to see that not only have they missed out on you, but they're missing out on all of the greatness that you are preparing to step into in this new season of your life. A lot of you had to tread through this chapter alone. At first, you might have thought that that isolation or that loneliness was a kind of punishment, but you don't see it that way anymore. You see now that the universe was with you, the divine was with you the entire time. That loneliness was actually the price of your elevation. You're starting to understand that there was people in your life, those behavioral patterns, and there were mindsets that could not go with you where you're going. And this was the price you had to pay to be able to elevate to this next level in your life. A lot of these people didn't even really notice you walking away because they were too preoccupied and too consumed by the distraction. But there's a feeling that they've been stripped of things in their life, or they're going through this at the moment, and they're starting to look around, and you're not there in the capacity that you once were. They don't have you to fall back on. They don't have you to be their little whipping boy or whipping girl any longer. And you were placed inside an energy so you could have some sort of, what's like spiritual spaciousness, right? After a while, you became comfortable in that space. You started to really love yourself in a way that I don't think you've ever been loved before, which was the key this entire time, right? Learning how to love yourself so you can align with the person that could truly love you the way you deserve to be loved. See, what you're also starting to realize is that soulmates don't come to save you. They arrive because you've saved yourself. You decided not to wait. Instead, just focusing on your rise. You know that you are more than worthy after having done all this work on yourself to have somebody that wants to build alongside of you, not continually take from you and drain you of your life force and energy for their own self-interest or gain. You understand now that, yes, that quiet space may be cruel at first, but eventually it becomes your power. And now you're preparing to graduate on into this new season. What do we have at the sacral, please, Spirit? Page of Wands, fire energy, and it's leaning a little bit more towards the reverse. But I feel what this is representing is all the illumination surrounding what it was that was truly always holding you back. You had to strip everything away to see what was always creating setbacks around your new ideas, your path forward. There was energies around you that I feel made you second guess yourself. You didn't see this at first. It's hard to when you deem these people as relatively close to you, especially if this is family, friends, romantic partners. You don't think to second guess whether or not they have your best interest in mind. But where you're at now, you're looking at life completely differently. You're interfacing with your reality in a completely different way. And the fact that it came out kind of like that, it gives the sense that you are preparing to bring this into the upright. This is your awareness of what's been taking place here, right? It's like this energy back here was always stealing the fire in your belly, right? That witchy character. And the Page of Wands is all about new passion projects. It has to do with new opportunities. essentially new kinds of beginnings. And I just heard something about you being stripped of your confidence in the 11th hour of your breakthroughs. So it's like you would just get right there. You could practically taste it. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you're back on this old timeline. Almost like that breakthrough was just a dream you had. I just heard staticky timelines. It gives that feeling when you wake up, you're in your own room, you're in your own house, but there's that split few seconds where you have woken up from a really deep sleep or some sort of dream that completely consumed you, and you forget where you are at. You know, I think there's something much deeper going on with that as well. You know, I always mention my readings, and a lot of you already know this, but every decision that we make in the here and now can align us with different possibilities, different outcomes, different timelines, so to speak. And we don't really notice this even happening. But every now and then, there are these decisions we make that align us with different outcomes that have a huge influence on our path moving forward. And of course, we don't really know this. It's just something that happens. But I feel there's something to be said about waking up from a dream and trying to almost align with your conscious awareness of where you are in that moment. It's almost as if somewhere prior to that dream, or maybe before you even fell asleep, you made a decision that aligned you with a different timeline. And then when you wake up, you're on that new timeline. And it's like you're calibrating to it, okay? So the reason why I'm saying all this is because I feel that this is something along the lines of what may be taking place in a lot of your lives. There's a huge shift in timelines here, okay? It's like those movies when somebody wakes up at the end and everything that's happened throughout the movie just turns out to be a dream. Those things never even happened. Or did they, right? Were they on another timeline? Has your conscious awareness calibrated with a completely different version of you that's in a parallel reality? There's something deep going on here. But it all has to do with you aligning your conscious awareness of the timeline and or the path that is going to finally bring you that breakthrough. There's nothing in your way. There's no one to distract you anymore. There's no one to get you to second guess the decisions and the moves you're making, right? A lot of the times we just need to isolate ourselves, get away from any sort of influence so we can get that breakthrough. And it's typically within that space that we have a mass exposure around what was holding us back the entire time. What do we have of the solar plexus, Spirit? Wow. What was holding us back the entire time? And we get the Five of Swords. So an energy of terminating unhealthy relationships from your life as a means to move forward on your path. Essentially burning it all down, metaphorically speaking. There's an emphasis here on needing to release some sort of past resentment. This could also be a big one as well. A lot of times we go into these spaces, this kind of isolation, and we're holding on to so much resentment because of what we've just come out of that we end up delaying ourselves, right? And, you know, this is something I was speaking about in one of the readings recently. And I was trying to explain to everybody that even though it can be very difficult to just forgive and move on, regardless whether you receive apologies or acknowledgement from those opposing forces, this is all about you, not about them. It should no longer matter if those opposing forces acknowledge the errors of their ways. It doesn't matter, okay? And a lot of people don't understand this because they're still holding on to the bitterness. But if you are sitting around expecting or waiting on somebody else to acknowledge what they did to you, you're holding yourself back while waiting on them to get it, right? Do not do this to yourself, okay? And again, I'm always trying to explain this to you guys, and most of you get it, but there's always that odd comment or two that say, I will never forgive. And let me just tell you this, okay? When you take that position, you're imprisoning yourself inside of a space that only these individuals have the key to. You're empowering them. When the best way to approach these situations is by looking at these opposing forces as limited. They just can't see it. They don't understand it the way you do. And when you truly grasp the concept of this, this is when you are able to let go and move forward and no longer care, right? That's the whole purpose here, is to just simply not care anymore. Because the more you care, the more power you give them. And that's what they always wanted anyway. They wanted you to care enough to hold yourself back. See, that's what narcissists do to you, right? They want to use emotional abuse or whatever it may be that they're coming against you with as a weapon so you can self-sabotage and marinate in that space of, why would they do that to me? That's their whole purpose. They don't care what you think about them. All they care is that you are no longer a threat to them, period. And that's exactly what this Five of Swords at the solar plexus is representing for me, okay? Now, your solar plexus is all connected to your personal power and your drive. So this is you showing up here, not allowing these individuals to use your suffering to empower themselves. You're taking it back. And a lot of the times, the way you take this back is by saying quietly to yourself, you don't even really need to say it to them, I forgive you, I forgive the situation. I'm just moving on. I don't care anymore, right? I'm telling you guys, of course, everything is circumstantial. Okay, everybody's situation is going to be different out there, but this is the most empowering way to navigate these situations. Don't allow them to hold you back another minute. And I promise you that once you start to see that movement in your life, and I'm getting a really itchy right palm, okay, which is speaking about something coming through for you guys, blessings. I'm hearing something about finances as well. Okay, now I'm hearing something about once you begin to understand this and you put action behind what we're suggesting here, a lot of blockages are going to be lifted for you, okay? And I feel for a number of you, it has to do with financial situations. There's something here surrounding finances, and these energies here creating some sort of energetic blockage for you. But what I was saying before was, once you get on the other side of this and you start to see this forward momentum in your life, you're going to look back and you're going to understand exactly what I'm talking about, okay? Revenge or getting people back, it just becomes something that you don't care about anymore because you're so busy working inside of this new space that you simply don't even have time for it. Your energy, your time is better spent in other spaces. And a lot of that time and energy that you're putting into those new spaces has all been fueled by everything you have gone through with these individuals anyway. So you almost see all of it as a kind of gift. Wow. I'm so glad I went through that situation, as dark as it was, as horrible as it was, because it's gotten me to where I am now, and I am a stronger person because of it. And on the bottom of the deck, we have the Five of Swords again, okay, from this deck. So Five of Swords twice. But see how right here, you're engaged in battle, right? And then right underneath it, we have the King of Cups, which is an energy that's very stoic, right? It's all about emotional wisdom, which reinforces what I just said, right? About no longer caring, just chalking it up to lessons learned, wisdom gained, Ace of Swords, air energy at the heart. And I just heard, now you are thinking clearly. I quite often like to use the example of the devil trying to steal our life clock minutes, right? Taking incremental pieces of time away from us. And the devil is just basically an energy. It's a type of consciousness. It's a mindset that these opposing energies are living by inside your waking life. That's how they're showing up. They're showing up in this devil kind of mindset energy. So once you begin to understand the mechanics of how this works, you start to see very clearly that by even engaging with them, you are allowing them to siphon your energy. They're not looking to completely destroy you or take you out. What they're looking to do is drain you, to keep you in that space, marinating and suffering indefinitely, right? You know, I'm thinking about the depictions that we always see or hear about in regards to people that are in hell, right? You ever notice how everybody in hell is seemingly very much alive, but they're suffering, right? It's an eternal suffering because there's energy that they can extract from you inside of that space. These individuals get more from you when you are alive as long as they can keep you where they want you. And this depiction of the Ace of Swords, it's like as soon as you understand this, right, you begin to figure out how this works. It's like you're able to pull the sword from the stone and you get your crown, right? Okay, in my mind's eye, I'm seeing somebody tugging on a door. They can't open it. And then they begin to understand how this works, right? They take a deep breath, they step back, and rather than tugging on the door with all of their might, they put their hand over the doorknob ever so gingerly, turn it, and the door opens, right? It's all about the approach. It's all about the mindset. It's all about changing your energy and disengaging from these spaces and not allowing them to drain you by keeping you in that space of suffering any longer. And then right on the bottom of the deck, 10 of Wands, right? Handing over your burdens, handing over your suffering to the divine, Chariot, and moving forward. What do we have at the throat? Page of Cups, water energy at the throat. Now, this Page of Cups at the throat is representing some sort of new beginning here for all of you. And we see the bird dropping this fish in the cup, okay? Now, there's many different ways that you can read the Page of Cups, but the way I'm reading it right now is like something is unlocked. It's like all of a sudden something is dropped on you in such a miraculous way that it causes the timelines to shift. Now, I'm also getting energy here of maybe some strange occurrences happening around you right now. I just heard the butterfly effect. Now, it could be literal, but it could also just speak about that kind of idea, right? It's almost like when there's a glitch in the matrix because there's sort of timelines adjusting to your new conscious awareness and this newfound sense of control that you have taken over your mind. And that's the thing. Our minds are the key to all of this because our minds are actually what can change our perception of our reality and how we interface with it. What do we have of the third eye, Spirit? King of Cups again. So we saw it on the bottom of one of these other decks earlier on, and now it's come out from this deck. Okay, so here's that energy of stoicism, and it's coming out right there at the third eye. So from the Page of Cups to the King of Cups, this is the full gamut, okay? From one step to the next, this massive shift unfolds in your life simply by way of how you are perceiving something, interfacing with something, and how you are allowing something to strip you of your hierarchy of needs. Now, this is quite deep here, but what I'm getting is this timeline where you and these people exist together and interface with each other in whatever capacity that shows up. There's a sense there that they hold the keys to something that you think you need, whether it's love, stability, or some sort of psychological needs. The divine is actually giving us a very clear message here that you actually don't need any of that from those people because they have been put into a position where they are dictating to you what that even looks like to begin with, where you are being guided to a whole new timeline where you decide what that looks like, where the divine decides what that looks like for you, which is based on this newfound sense of love within yourself, right? So that's quite a lot to chew on. But if we take it back to what I said regarding you saving yourself, right? Going through that sort of time of isolation to work on yourself, it's in that space that you put together what this all looks like for you. And you strip away this idea of what other people have decided you do and don't need. I'm also hearing that this is a generational curse for a lot of you that you're breaking, right? I mean, this very easy to see how this can show up. This has to do with families. This is chain breaker energy, black sheep kind of energy. You're going your own way. And this is exactly what this looks like. You're deciding what love looks like for you. It's no longer based on an idea that was structured in what these people think love is supposed to look like. A real basic example of this is people saying, well, you need to go marry somebody who has this, that, and the other, blah, 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 right? But where you're getting to now in your life, you look at love in a completely different way. And it's something that none of these people can even begin to fathom where they are at on their path, because they haven't put the work into themselves to know what love truly is from this side of the aisle, so to speak. They have an outdated belief system around love. And I feel that there's a much bigger message here, okay? What do we have of the crown, please, Spirit? What do we have of the crown, please, Spirit? Too many cards. Wow. Okay. They want me to take this Five of Pentacles. The way that flipped around like that was very significant. And then we have the Knight of Swords here. Lifestyle changes. So the Five of Pentacles, Taurus energy at the crown in reverse. There's a change for the better unfolding here. It's a perfect card to actually get after everything we've channeled through so far, because it's shown us very clearly that you have gone through this darkness alone. And now you are going to see that it was all worth it. When people are preparing to go down this path, there's this overwhelming feeling inside of you of, I wonder how long this is going to take, right? A lot of times people start off going down the path and then they give up and go back, and then they do it again and they give up, they go back. It's this sort of cyclical cycle that you get into. And some people just give up altogether, and other people push through and get to the other side. But there's this intense resilience that I'm picking up here from a lot of you, where you're beginning to come out of this darkness. You're beginning to come out of this shadow. You're going to start really seeing the universe co-creating with you based on how committed you were to stay the course. You understand that loneliness is the tax for growth. A lot of people can't stand the silence, right? They think it's punishment, but that's where all the breakthroughs happen. And it makes sense because we live in a very noisy world. And when you begin to see that the breakthroughs happen in that silence, you start to look at the world completely different. You start to understand why there's so much noise to begin with, because they know the noisier it is, the more they can keep you distracted from finding yourself in the silence. What do we have at the foundation, Spirit? Too many cards. What do we have at the foundation, Spirit? Eight of Swords, Gemini energy at the foundation of the reading. Now, this is confirming what I was speaking about earlier on in the reading, about holding on to the bitterness, holding on to the resentment, holding on to expectations regarding these people, the acknowledgement of the suffering they put you through, right? The recognition that they hurt you. The Eight of Swords is all about a kind of imprisonment, but it's self-imposed. See, a lot of people in this world, they fall for this trap. They don't understand that a lot of what these individuals are putting them through is all calculated. They do it on purpose to keep them marinating in the suffering. The sooner you begin to see this, the quicker you can disarm the enemy from forming weapons against you. And it's all based on your perception. It's all based on the power of your own mind to be able to overcome this. And look, I understand it's easier said than done, but it is possible, okay? It just takes some work. It takes some practice. Power of the mind is really what it comes down to. And we have the Temperance right above this Eight of Swords, okay? So perfect, because we're seeing this balance, right? It's almost like understanding and putting this into practice is kind of like walking on a tightrope. And sometimes when I look at this card, even though she has a toe in the water and a toe on land, you could almost remove that scenery And with this sort of balancing with the two cups, it can be seen as a kind of balancing act, right? Walking on a tightrope. You know, so many people will make a lot of headway. They'll get pretty far down this path. They'll find themselves in a space where they're pretty healed, and they'll try to entertain somebody from that previous cycle that they've graduated on from. And almost without warning, they'll just wake up in a reality where it seems like all the work that they put in was just a dream. I feel that that could be a warning for a lot of you out there, okay? You need to be very careful with who you're allowing back into your energy right now. It's really easy to allow people back in, okay, once you've become really healed. And what I'm saying throughout this reading in regards to not allowing these people's actions to affect you anymore, just simply not caring, that doesn't mean allowing them back into your life and not caring what they put you through before. It doesn't mean that at all. It means that you basically don't allow these people to take up real estate inside your mind anymore and the things that they put you through. You move on, you graduate on from that space, and you leave them where you last saw or where you last heard from them. Don't extract them from that timeline and try to place them in the new timeline, because you will 100% unravel all of the work that you've put into yourself. And this is something that I speak about in a lot of readings as well. You can't lift people up to where you are and expect them to just magically be healed, right? Each individual person has to put in the hard work to meet you at that space. Think about all of the hard work you had to do to get to where you are, right? Now they have to do that too, or maybe they have to do more. But because a lot of you have been where those people were at one point in your life, it's a lot easier for you to go back there than it is for them to meet you where you are. So there's a reason why I'm saying that. And I feel that's going to deeply resonate with a whole bunch of you out there right now when you're hearing this. Because I feel that in a lot of cases, there's people knocking on your door, blowing up your phone, trying to get back in your energy, trying to email you, whatever it is. All I can tell you is this is the season when the devil knocks. So be very careful who you answer to. And then right on the bottom of the deck, I have the Page of Wands again, okay? So Page of Wands, Page of Wands. Now, this energy here, this is a very misleading energy, okay? And this goes along perfectly with the message that I just delivered. And doesn't it look like he's got a key in his hand, almost like put a key in the lock, right? This is kind of specific, but I heard it pretty clearly. Somebody wants to see if they can get you to give them a key again. Now, that could speak metaphorically, it could speak literally. But, you know, the other thing about this card that always kind of stands out to me is what this individual has on their wrist, right? At first glance, it almost looks like they're holding a stick of dynamite, but I feel that it's some sort of just bird or something. But let's just say it is a stick of dynamite, okay? It's like they want to come back into your life. They want to unlock the door back into your life and blow everything up, right? And look, they're riding through on a bear. I just heard barren wasteland of emotion. Okay, wow. What do we have at this sacral, please, Spirit? Four of Swords, Libra energy at the sacral. Unbelievable. This is an energy of caution. It's also an energy of somebody trying to re-enter. It's like they're trying to start again. Oh, come on, let's start again. Let's just try it one more time. This can speak about family, romantic partners, friends, anybody, okay? There's something about these energies as well, and I feel this kind of goes without saying, but I'm being guided to say it. They are starting to see very clearly how far behind they are when compared to where you are now because of all the work you've put into yourself. And this goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of the reading, right? They didn't even notice you were gone until one day. And then it's like all of a sudden they notice you and you're not even the same person anymore. It's like you've done all this work on yourself when they weren't even watching. We always hear about this because it's very real. The people that rule you out, they just pay you no mind. So the divine removes you, it detoxes you, and then brings you back out on the scene at the most appropriate time. But it's not in a way of showing off or trying to act like you're better than anybody else. This isn't what we're talking about at all, okay? This is just a part of karmic law. It's just a part of how these people learn their lessons, right? All goes back to the saying of God preparing a table for you in front of your enemies, right? It's to teach them a lesson, right? Because that's the most important part about all of this, learning lessons. Because at the end of the day, what we want is for people to grow. And growth typically happens by going through the painful process of transformation. We need to call a spade a spade. We need to call the devil out for who he truly is so these people have a chance of exorcising those demons from themselves. We don't want to gloss over the truth here. It's important to see and recognize these things for what they really are, so growth can begin to unfold. What do we have of the solar plexus, please, Spirit? Temperance again at the solar plexus, but this temperance is very different from this one here, okay? Now, the temperance card from this deck is an energy of chaos, an energy of imbalance, okay? And it's also an energy of individuals who lack any sort of long-term vision. This is following everything I just said beautifully because there's an eruption taking place in these individuals' lives. And it's all been triggered by the realization of your transformation and growth. That has altered the trajectory of their lives in this moment. There's a realization of a kind of truth that they never thought they would have to face. And it's right underneath this Five of Swords. So this Five of Swords, to me, in this reading, is representing you disarming these people, right? Which, as we mentioned, is done by not allowing them to keep you marinating inside that space of suffering, right? And see how there's a sort of smoke right here. It's like from out of the smoke and the ashes, this realization arises. These individuals realize now that they've lost, that they've been exposed, that you now know what they never wanted you to know about what they were doing to you this entire time. I just heard very clearly, you're not meant to carry this dead weight into your destiny. You need to let it fall away, even if it hurts. What do we have at the heart, please, Spirit? Three of Swords. It says right there, quiet solitude. See, a lot of the times when we begin the process of this healing, we find ourselves feeling isolated, lonely, and withdrawn. But as we push forward in that space, then we remain strong, that isolation turns to solitude, which is a very different thing. Isolation can be unhealthy in a sense, whereas solitude is the space where you begin to seek a deeper understanding. It's an energy of introspection. And this is where the healing begins to unfold. Three of Swords. The divine is able to work on you and help you overcome these things, remove blockages, help you gain perspective, teach you things that they couldn't otherwise teach you when you're in these other environments because of the distraction. This is why this is so incredibly important. You can build an entire blueprint for your empire when you're in solitude. This is really just seen as that time when the divine just pulls you away from everyone and everything for a time. It's truly a gift. It's a blessing. You don't see it like that at first, but when you come out of it, the gratitude you have for Spirit, the divine, God, whoever you see as your supreme being, is something that you never even realized existed in this capacity. You maybe read about it or heard about it, but it's actually something that has become reality in your own life. You leave that space with these new blueprints around your life and a new kind of understanding of who you are, a newfound sense of love. There's many layers to all of this. I also heard you remove the urgency for needing to just have any old random person in your life to fill a void or to fill a space. You move in a much more methodical fashion. You start to loosen your grip on control over your life, and you just flow. And that's when the true magic happens. Things just begin to show up. Your manifestations are something that you can access on a dime because you truly understand, you believe, and you have faith that all things on this new timeline unfold exactly the way they need to. And there's little to no effort that you even need to put into it. You just need to love yourself the right way and to believe wholeheartedly that you are supported and guided by a higher source energy in this life cycle because you are here to make a difference however that shows up in your everyday waking life. And then we have the Page of Cups again. And look what it says. Divine comfort, right? So it's like everything I said is a kind of divine comfort. And the Page of Cups is a very intuitive energy. It's all about synchronicity. And as we can see here, he's got the sword, right? It's like right here, you've pulled the sword from the stone. So this is you having this deeper understanding of how this works now. And then right on the bottom of this deck, we have the Hermit. Okay, so we've been speaking about this Hermit energy throughout the whole reading, right? That energy of solitude, introspection, that's Hermit energy. Okay, what do we have at the throat, please, Spirit? Too many cards. Just saw the Fool, so a new beginning. What do we have at the throat? Four of Wands, Aries energy at the throat. God the Savior, rectification, helps one live in peace with everyone. So it's like you're going from this timeline of just seemingly complete chaos or just a quality of life that is so much lesser than what you are starting to realize you actually deserve. And this new timeline is a perfect representation of all of that which you actually deserve because of the hard work you have put in to get yourself here. Now, the Four of Wands is an energy of alignment, harmony. It's also a kind of homecoming as well. So I feel that this is really speaking about that moment when you really start to embrace where you are in the here and now, and you find yourself thinking about everything you had to go through to get there, right? To get to that space in that present moment. You start to realize everything had to unfold exactly the way it did. You couldn't change anything. The good, the bad, all of it had to happen just like it did. And you're okay with that because of everything you are now being gifted with inside this new space. It's a blessing. And it's in that moment that you truly start to understand exactly what we have been saying about no longer allowing those individuals to keep you marinating inside of that space because you simply see them as limited now. And that's how you defeat these energies to begin with, is by not allowing them to take up real estate inside your mind, because that's what it's all about for them anyway. What do we have at the third eye, Spirit? Hermit. There we go. Word of God creating all. Alchemy and transformation. Rules natural events, helps with spiritual progress. Perfect. And it's right underneath this King of Cups. So obviously this Hermit has been in the energy since the very beginning, okay? Because this is the space where all of this illumination, all of this understanding, all of this healing, this is where it all unfolds. This is where it's all realized. Now, there's going to be different groups of you out there that are listening to this. Some of you are graduating on from this space. You're getting ready to come back out into the world. And some of you are preparing to go into this space. So you place yourself as it makes the most sense to you and where you are in the journey. Okay, I'm also hearing that there are a number of people out there who are going to hear this, and it's going to be encouragement, right? To take the necessary steps and prepare yourself to go into this space, okay? See, this is where you find that magic doorway through. because that's when the voice of spirit embraces you, shows you who you really are, strips away all of these ideas of who you think you are, right? Which is all based on where you're coming from anyway. You know, a lot of our identities are influenced by our environments, our surroundings, the people in it. It's why when people become so consumed by these toxic cycles, they often say, I don't recognize myself anymore, right? I mean, how many of you have said that out there? Probably a whole bunch. Probably all of you at some point, and that's okay. You know, it's all a part of the process. But you also have to recognize when it's time to disengage. But when you find yourself looking in the mirror and saying that to your reflection, that's a sign, okay? It's a loud one, too. But having said all that, and this is going to be difficult for some of you to understand in the moment, but when you do get on the other side of this, you'll look back at that moment and see how truly close you were to a breakthrough without even knowing it. That's sort of like the rock bottom, right? And when you're at that rock bottom, well, there's only one way to go, right? Up. You launch yourself off the bottom, you head directly upwards. And this is what this is all about. Understanding that even in your darkest hour, your seemingly lowest point in your life, you are as close to a breakthrough as you can possibly get. And then right on the bottom of the deck, we have the Six of Wands, the Hierophant, King of Cups again. So, Six of Wands, victory, okay? Hierophant, God, Spirit, the divine, your spirit guides, whoever you look to as your supreme being, that's all right here. That support, that embrace, like I was speaking about when you go into hermit mode. Here's your breakthrough. Six of Wands is also an energy of a personal triumph or something being within your reach. What do we have at the crown to close out the reading, please, Spirit? Queen of Cups. Water energy at the crown to close out the reading. So we have a pair, King and Queen of Cups. God the Redeemer, redemption, serves against enemies. Now there's a huge emphasis here on emotional balance and emotional healing. And the Queen of Cups is a very intuitive energy. It's all about self-care, self-love, which is a perfect card to get after the Hermit card, because now we're seeing this confirmation of what is going to take place inside this hermit energy for all of you, or what has already taken place depending on where you are on the timeline. I feel that a lot of you are going to be healing this sort of lack of confidence or a kind of emotional insecurity, or even the sense that you need to have certain people, things, mindsets, behavioral patterns in your life to get some sort of breakthrough. But what we're seeing taking place here is Spirit stripping everything away that does not serve your highest good and leaving you with only what you need to move forward down this path. And I feel for a lot of you, it's just a newfound sense of self, a newfound sense of love. And I just heard a newfound sense of rhythm and flow that you are finding within your connection to your higher self and source. That's all you need. Everything else is merely a distraction from the truth that is you and what you came here to accomplish. And then right on the bottom of the deck, I have the Five of Pentacles again. Okay, but this Five of Pentacles is a little different here because this speaks about a newfound sense of hope, okay? Ten of Cups. So I love this Ten of Cups because it shows your inner child, right? You, and then your higher self. There's a kind of calibration taking place here. And then Temperance again, reconciliation, okay? So a lot of confirmations here surrounding this healing and you being provided with everything you need inside of this space to begin moving forward into this new season. So however this shows up for all of you, I hope there's some messages here to help support you on your path, and I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. All right, this is what I have for all of you. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. You can find information for booking personal readings down below. And I would like to thank everybody who's been purchasing things from my online store. I really appreciate it. And for those of you who haven't checked it out yet, you can find those links down below as well. And I also have the members section of my channel opened where I upload additional videos each month. And lastly, if this reading resonated with you, drop me a heart and or leave a comment down below, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care.